One morning, two travelers arrived at the riverbank. They needed to cross to the other side. The only way was by boat. An old boatman stood by the river, waiting for passengers. "Can you take us across?" one traveler asked. "Yes," the boatman said. "Please, step in." The first traveler, William, was a scholar. He wore fine clothes and carried many books. The second traveler, Henry, was a merchant. He was quiet and polite. As the boat moved across the water, William looked at the boatman. The man's clothes were worn, and his hands were rough from work. "Tell me, old man," William said. "Do you know how to read?" The boatman shook his head. "No, sir, I never learned." William laughed. "What a shame! A man who cannot read has lost half his life. Reading is the key to wisdom." The boatman only smiled and continued rowing. A few moments later, William asked, "Do you know anything about history? About science? Do you understand the stars?" The boatman shook his head again. "No, sir. I only know the river. I have spent my life on these waters." William sighed. "That is unfortunate. A man without knowledge has wasted most of his life." Henry watched quietly. He felt uncomfortable with William's words but said nothing. Suddenly, dark clouds covered the sky. The wind grew strong. The river waves became wild. "A storm is coming," the boatman said. Then, a huge wave struck the boat. It shook violently. Water started to pour in. "We are sinking!" Henry cried. The boatman turned to the two men. "Do either of you know how to swim?" Henry shook his head. William's face turned pale. "No. We never learned." The boatman took a deep breath. "What a shame," he said. "A man who cannot swim has lost his whole life." Then, without another word, the boatman jumped into the river and swam toward the shore. He moved with ease, like a fish in the water. Henry and William struggled. The river pulled them under. But the boatman returned, grabbed them, and helped them reach the shore. Coughing and wet, William sat on the sand. He looked at the boatman with wide eyes. "You saved us." The boatman nodded. "Sir, knowledge is important. But knowledge without humility is like a boat without oars. It cannot take you far." William lowered his head. He had spent his life reading books, but today, a simple boatman had taught him the greatest lesson. From that day on, William was a changed man. He still read his books, but now, he also listened to the wisdom of ordinary people. For true knowledge is not just in books, it is in the way we live and the way we treat others. If you enjoyed the story, please like and subscribe.